Startups have a 99% failure rate. We all know this. This is not shocking to anyone, any one of us that are founders. But that's not why we do them, right? It has a high failure rate, but it also has high rewards. And we know that there's a 1% chance that whatever we're working on will actually amount to something. There are different things that we can do to reduce execution risk and make sure that we're successful, but it's still under that 1%, right? So how do you actually learn from past startup failures? Could we do that? Could we actually not repeat the same mistakes and maybe increase our chances of being part of that 1%? In this episode, I'm gonna dig into the top 10 startup failure reasons and go through what each of them are and walk you through the one big lesson to learn from those top 10 reasons. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster. If you are new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode that helps you grow your SaaS business. If you're already part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, if you're part of this community, welcome back. It's really great to see you over here. Seriously, I love you guys. We just hit 5,000 subscribers and I'm just, thank you. Like seriously, thank you for being part of this community. I truly love you guys. I enjoy this. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about startup failures and what we can learn from them. Now, none of us SaaS founders, we don't do startups because they're easy. They're certainly not the easiest way to make money. They're not the surest way to make money. There's a whole bunch of ways to make money. Like, that's not it. I don't know about you, but I do this because in a way it's my calling. I tried doing other things and I was miserable. But whenever I'm building companies, going after solving a very big problem, when I think about the upside of that, the failure rate doesn't bother me. Like, I know the failure rate, but I'm just like, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be part of that 1%. I'm gonna do everything I can to actually succeed, right? That's how we're wired. It's weird. This is rare. And that's why I think when you put a bunch of SaaS founders in a room or a Zoom call, we all get along that much more because we're all equally passionate and crazy, just friggin' crazy about this. So the question becomes, how do we increase our chances of succeeding? One of the reasons I run my SaaS go-to-market coaching program is to reduce execution risk, meaning we know the set of things that need to be done to build a go-to-market machine. If you work with us, and we've done this before, we can actually reduce the risk of misexecuting. So that's one way you can actually reduce the risk and the failure rate. The other thing you can do is you can actually take some time to learn from past mistakes. Success and failures leaves clues. And if we can learn from them, then that could be very powerful. Generally, I don't know about you, but we generally don't do that. The reason we don't do that is we're very quick to say and get arrogant and say, that's on us. We're not gonna make those mistakes. We're not stupid. That person was stupid. But the reality is that's not true. And so today I'm gonna go walk you through the 10 top reasons that startups fail. I came across this CB Insights research, and CB Insights is amazing. I'm a huge fan. I should probably subscribe to them. I look at their stuff often enough. I love their emails. And so they did this research and they looked at 101 startup postmortems and they figured out the top 20 reasons startups fail. All top 20 reasons. Now, I don't want to go through all top 20 reasons because I don't think it's going to be as valuable because I looked at them. What I'm going to do is look at the top 10 reasons. I'm going to walk you through each of them. And then I'm going to walk you through the one thing that I learned from looking at these top 10 startup failures and what you can do to actually increase your chances of succeeding for your SaaS business. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And let's go through the reasons. Okay, so why do startups fail? This slide is actually right out of our SaaS growth strategy guide. So I printed it out and you can grab a copy of it. It's completely free. I'll link to it below. The reasons that they cited, so number one was there was no market need, right? No market need is the number one. They analyzed 101 startup postmortems and CB Insights found like the number one reason that was cited was no market need. 42% of startups out of this 101 actually said there was no market need, meaning they built a product, maybe they raised some money, assembled a team, went out there, worked at it, and then realized the market didn't care. Like literally the market was not interested in what they were building. So that's number one reason. The second thing was they ran out of cash. That's self-explanatory. You got to manage your runway as a founder. Like you just need to do that. Number three was not the right team. Oftentimes when I see not the right team, what it really means is they picked a market to go after that the team wasn't built for. That team didn't have the domain knowledge. They weren't equipped enough. And again, you'll start to see these connect. Not the right team meant like they went after the wrong market and maybe built the wrong product, right? They just weren't built appropriately. The next one was they got outcompeted. The competition was too high. In the market, they just weren't relevant. They didn't find a way to stand out and uniquely position themselves. Their pricing was off, or they had cost issues, meaning they couldn't be competitive in the market in terms of the product they were selling and the problem they were solving and the business value they were delivering. User unfriendly product. The product just sucked. I love their description of this one. By the way, I'm going to go pretty quickly with the top 10 reasons because really what matters the most is the pattern out of the top 10, and we'll get to that. User unfriendly product is like the product was shitty. And I do commend the guys at CB Insights for being, I don't know, politically correct on this, but the product was shitty. Like, in fact, we're just going to rename this shitty product. That's literally what that was. Then it was product without a business model, right? They had a product and maybe users loved it and their free plan was off the charts and bananas, but there was no business model. They literally could not find a way to make money, and then they ran out of cash and they couldn't figure out their pricing. Like, you can see how these connect. So product without a business model. Poor marketing. 14% of companies said they were poor at marketing. And that also, you can see it connects, like, right? It's like, okay, they did a bunch of marketing activities. They hired a content person and blogged, and that's all they did, and nothing happened. Like, literally, they're never like, there's no market need, and they ran out of cash. Like, that happens all the time. I see it all the time with new founders. And then lastly was ignore customers. This one I like a lot, and I don't think this one, so all of these are connected, and we'll talk about how they're connected. This one I think is really interesting. Ignore customers. I think that all of us are guilty of ignoring customers. And what I mean by that is when we start a company and we build a product, we go in with a high conviction on this is the problem and this is the solution, give me money. You need this. And a lot of times in the market, what will happen is people will use the product, but they'll describe it differently. They'll use a different part of it. They may use it for a different problem. And sometimes we get rigid on like, no, that's not what this is for. Like, we're here to revolutionize the world. You're trying to just use this for this dumb thing. And we don't recognize that sometimes in the early stages, the true product market fit looks dumb, looks small, looks like a toy, and we ignore customers. We don't listen to them. And so I think this being number 10, did you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9? What's number 10? I must have cut that off by accident. Product mistimed is number 10. We'll put this over here. Product mistimed is number 10. I think that's fine. Like, yeah, wasn't the right time. I get it. Like, I think that's a good one too. I don't think it's as interesting, but I do think ignore customers. So those are the 10, all right? No market need, ran out of cash, not the right team, got outcompeted, pricing cost issues, shitty product without a business model, poor marketing, ignore customers, product mistimed. What can we learn from this, right? Like, that's the question. These are kind of connected, you can see, but there's enough data underneath this with 101 startup postmortems, and they were like, these are the top reasons. And number 1 being no market need, which is crazy. They're like, we did all this stuff, but no one cares. Like, literally, the market doesn't care. So here's what I got out of it. And this is why I wanted to do this video. And here's what we can learn, okay? What we can learn, and I talk about this a lot in this channel, is there's 3 pillars to every SaaS business. You have the product, which we all over-index on. Like, we all over-index on product because we do this because we care about product. We're builders, right? Then you have the market, and then you have go-to-market. And if you're going to win as a company, you need to find the trifecta, the thing in the middle, and that's where the money is. I talk about this all the time in this channel, right? And so we tend to over-index on product and not enough on market and go-to-market. But here's the truth, and this is the proof of this. You can have a phenomenal market and a mediocre product and you will still win. You can have a phenomenal market and a mediocre team and a mediocre product and you will still win because the market forces will be so strong. However, on the other side, you can have an amazing product, an amazing team. If the market's not right, then there's gonna be no market need. You're gonna run out of cash. You're gonna get out-competed because others meet the market needs in a better way. You're not gonna know how to price it. You won't have a business model, your marketing will be crappy, and you won't even listen to your customers because they'll say like, hey, you're kind of close, but we don't want this. And you're like, no, this is a thing. It's revolutionary. So that's the biggest thing you can take away. And so what do you do with this, right? So if great businesses are built on market, product, and go-to-market, and if you look at, here's what I would posit when I look at this data, What sticks out to me is that we as startup founders screw up product and go-to-market more than anything else. There's only one line item here on shitty product. Everything else was a market or go-to-market problem. It was either a market problem where the TAM wasn't there and it wasn't an urgent and important problem. It wasn't priced properly compared to the business value you're describing, or people just didn't get awareness of it to use this product. These are the big ones that are really sticking out. That's the big learning to be learned. Now, what do we do about this? So there's a core principle that I would apply, that you can apply, that you can learn from. But before I do, let me just pause here for a secon. There was two ways I could have done this video. One way I could have done this video is that create those road crash videos where this startup Quibi raised $40 billion and shut down after 3 years and couldn't turn a dollar. Like, they're kind of sexy to watch, but it's useless. Like, we're not going to learn anything from it. So I'm like, I'm not going to do the 10 startups that wildly failed because that's boring for me and useless for you. So I'm like, let's go look at the data. So that's why I pulled together the best analysis I could find on startup postmortems that aggregated the results and gave me their top 10 list. So this is super powerful. And there's one thing I think we can take away from this, and I'll get to that principle. But before I do that, let me just pause here for a second. If you're starting to see the power in this, if you're starting to see market, product, go-to-market, if you can start thinking along those three lines and think about them separately, how you can actually be wildly successful, how you can be a lot more successful in building your SaaS business. If you can, be sure to smash that like button for that YouTube algorithm. And can I just get a yes in the comments below so that I can hear from you? It just means a lot to me and my team when we see comments from you. Like, honestly, I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to fake a way to, like, if you want to talk about this, put this in the, like, I just want to hear from you. Hit yes, it just means a lot. Also, if you're building out your SaaS business and you want a framework to follow to ensure you can grow and build a strategy, be sure to download my SaaS Growth Startup Strategy Guide. It has this slide in there too, so you can take a closer look. I'll link to it below. But let's go into the principle number 3. So principle number 3 is, this is the thing that I think we all need to embrace. And we know this, I know you know this, but you may not be taking action on it. The biggest thing that matters is distribution. Distribution trumps everything. I really need to order some new markers. Distribution trumps everything. So if before you get too deep on your product and before you get trapped in that one more feature trap, what you really need to do is make sure you're in the right market. Are you solving an urgent and important problem? Is the market sufficiently large enough? Will the market have budget to spend the money to solve this problem? Answer that question. If you can, you will make sure that you actually become that 1% of startups that actually succeed, and you will overcome this first question, this first reason that startups fail, why 42% of them failed. They just picked the wrong market. They didn't have the market. So first principles wise, is it an urgent and important problem? Do they have budget? Are they willing to take action? Figure out whether you have a proper market strategy or not. That is the first thing you can learn from these startup failures. The second thing is make sure you have a proper go-to-market strategy. Now, obviously I'm biased. Go-to-market is everything. I'm a go-to-market person. I started as an engineer, I over-indexed some product, I learned the hard way, and then I learned go-to-market is everything and distribution is everything. But you need to have a go-to-market machine, you need to have a go-to-market strategy. It needs to make sure that it has the right messaging, the right positioning, the right pricing, inbound, outbound, all-bound. All of those things need to be lined up and executed on. And there's billions of hours of free advice out there, but you need a framework to follow. And so you need to make sure you have a proper framework to follow for your go-to-market machine. When you have a go-to-market machine, then you will know how to compete, you'll know how to price your product, you'll know what your business model is, you'll market it properly, and you will actually listen to your customers and feed it back. When you actually have a go-to-market machine and you're having customer conversations, then you're actually going to be able to build a better product because you're not going to be in a silo anymore. So all time, no matter what stage you're in, you should be building a go-to-market machine and making sure that you are talking to customers and building the product for them. And you're actually building out the business model. You're evaluating whether it's an urgent and important problem, and you're informing your market thesis. So this is the trick. If you build out the market piece and don't ignore it, then you'll overcome the first reason why all these startups failed. If you build out your go-to-market machine, then you will address the rest of these. Now, if you do these two things, and you still have a shitty product, you still stand a chance of success because the market will still reward you. They'll be patient with you. They're like, well, this is the best product we got. It's still shitty, but at least it solves the problem to a certain extent. Believe me, that's what happens. But if you don't do these two things, doesn't matter how great your product is, it won't matter. No one will know. And you'll eventually run out of cash. So that's why I wanted to do this video. And hopefully you like the approach that I took. Start with data, look at the key reasons, distill it down to the 2 key things that matters the most and what you need to focus on. What you need to focus on is building out a market strategy, a go-to-market machine, and then use those 2 things in interaction with your customers to actually build out your product. You do that, whether you're at $1 million ARR, sub-million ARR, 3 million, 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, you just need to keep doing that. That's the trick. That's the pro tip. And this is not like some shortcut, it's hard, but those who do it end up being the 1% that succeed. That's it. And that's the big lesson to learn. If you got value from this video, be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you want to dig more into this, go download our SaaS growth strategy guide. It goes deep into how to build out a go-to-market strategy, a market strategy, and a product strategy. Go to getunstoppable.com/strategy. It's completely free. All our key resources all in there. Includes a 1-page strategy template. You'll love it. Go fill it out. You will make the biggest difference in your startup. So go download that. I'll also link to it below. If you're new to the channel, I drop a video like this 3 times a week. This good. I really think this video is going to be one of our best, but hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. We do 3 videos a week and we put so much into these to make sure you're successful. Share it with a friend, your team. They will get value from this as well. Think in terms of market, product, go to market. That's what makes the biggest difference. And lastly, if you want help with this, if you want a proven framework to follow, if you want coaching on this, check out my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, tkcater.com/GTM. I'll link to that below as well. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business, but when you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode. Constantly paranoid that it's not recording. It's recording, cool.